Hello, all you nerds out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to 3MVTA. This is Big Jake, your host, and today I'm going to do my top 10 horror remakes. Just in my opinion, these are the best horror remakes that I've seen so far. Um, you know, obviously something like that can change considering Hollywood never can seem to not make remakes, especially of horror movies. So let's go ahead and get into it. Please like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy. Number 10, 13 Ghosts. Oh man. Originally released in 1960 by William Castle, who is considered a long time one of the great directors of all time, especially of the old horror films. This movie, I thought the remake was way overdue. I actually I saw the original film when I was a kid, and I did like it, but I didn't really appreciate it at the time because of how slow it was and all that stuff. But the new one it's pretty well done. I mean, I wouldn't say it's the best horror movie ever or anything like that, but with updated effects and the updated ghosts and the backstories to the ghosts and all that stuff, I thought it was really good. Only has a rating of 5.6 with a Rotten Tomatoes score of only 17% from critics, but what do they know? And then on top of but only a 48% reaction from the audience. So, but good movie, I think. Has a pretty good cast in it too. Tony Shalhoub, of course, is very good at pretty much anything he does. Matthew Lillard, I always really enjoy. F. Murray Abraham's always really good. So give it a watch if you've never seen it, and take the time to watch the original and just kind of appreciate where it all started. And I would say that for all of these, to be honest. So, well, let's go to number 9. Night of the Living Dead, being originally released in 1968. I'm pretty sure anybody who's listening to this, I'm pretty sure is familiar with the original film by George A. Romero. This one was done in 1990. It was done in color, which was a big difference, big deal. And the main character was played by Tony Todd, who is a big-time horror icon. A lot of people know him as Candyman. And it was honestly just it was just a solid remake. And with Not a Living Dead being such a great movie, you might think this might be higher on the list. The only reason I didn't put it higher on the list is because the remake really didn't add anything to it at all. Like, they didn't try to do, which sometimes is good, right? They don't, a lot of times when they remake films, they change things for the worse. But in this instance, they didn't change anything. They didn't even make an attempt. So I don't. I give it a lower score because of that, but at the same time, I guess I'm also grateful that they didn't ruin it with changes. As you can see, though, even with it being Night of the Living Dead, it only had a 66 and 68% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.8 at IMDb. But give it a watch if you ever want to see an updated version of where all the zombie stuff originally started. Well, aside from the movie White Zombie, of course, starring Bela Lugosi, but actual flesh-eating zombies, this is where it all started with George A. Romero. So, and let's go to number 8. Number 8, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, this one, I debated putting it on here at all, just because I know how much it's honestly hated in the community, but I thought it was a legit, solid attempt to remake the original film. Now, the original film, I do agree, is better, and pretty much most of these, that's how you're gonna, honestly, even how I feel. There's only a couple of them where I think the remake is actually superior, if even that many, to be honest. Lowest scores on both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. I thought Jackie Earle Haley did a really good job as Freddy Krueger. I thought the two kids trying to stop him did a good job, honestly. The special effects were really well done, and they were updated in a way that I think makes sense, and they did it in a way that was just really good, I thought, And the one thing about this one that I applaud is they did try to take a little bit of a different direction with it, in the sense that there's part where they believe that Freddy was framed. Like they're actually in the movie, they actually try to go with the plot that way, that he was actually falsely killed, and that's why he's coming back to kill these kids. But then, of course, it turns out. But I almost wish they would have kept that sentiment. But in the end, it turned out that he was Freddy Krueger, just like he was in the original film. That he was a murderer of children, and then that's why they killed him. So, but I do give him applause for a little bit of an attempt to try to make somewhat of a different plot there. So, check it out if you've never seen it. Number 7. Friday the 13th. Now, this one definitely stirred up some controversy when it came out. I think the remake is very, very good. Now, I do think the original is definitely a better horror movie in general, but the idea that Jason is actually in the first movie, of course, I think is awesome. Because, I'm sure everybody's seen that the original film. He's not in the original film. He wasn't in the original film. I thought the acting was solid. I thought the kills were good. They even had some unique kills for the movie, which was what the Friday the 13th franchise was. One of the things they were known for was each film had at least 2 to 3 kills that were unique to that film. So, really good attempt at a remake. I just wish it would have caught on better, and maybe we could have had it, this, and honestly, the Nightmare on Elm Street, I wish they would have done better, because maybe we could have had another modern franchise going. Just not necessarily in the same way. We don't need 8 new movies like we already have so many of the originals. So, well, let's move on to number 6. Number 6 is The Blob. Now, this is definitely one of my more favorited horror films, about this gooey creature that comes to Earth and just literally devours everything and anything in its path. The original one was done in 1958, and bit of trivia for you there. It was Steve McQueen's first main character starring role in a motion picture. But the remake, I thought it was. I honestly, this is one of the few that the remake was better than the original. The acting was solid, and the special effects update is amazing compared to the original. Being done 30 years later. So, but yeah, if you've never seen it, check it out, and honestly, check out the original. It's a good, campy, cheesy horror movie that was, and honestly, even back then, it was really well done. It's just that honestly, the remake is better. So, check it out for yourself sometime. And let's move on to number 5. Number 5, we have It, and we'll go over both of these. It actually was originally considered a quote unquote TV miniseries that had, I believe when it aired on TV, it aired in, I can't remember if it was 2 parts or 3 parts, but I believe it was 2 parts, just like the remake films. One of the more higher rated films on our list. Everybody I think agrees they did an amazing job remaking these films, or remaking this film, with the first part here concentrating on when they were kids, just like the original. And Bill Skarsgård does a really good and scary Pennywise, whereas, the original one, in the original film, Tim Curry did more of a campy Pennywise, even though there were parts where he definitely was scary. This one is definitely more done for horror than, there's not really a lot of that campy cheesiness to it like there was in the original, though. So, and then this part, like I said, the first part concentrates on when they were kids. Now, here in the second part, it concentrates on when they were adults, like in the original film. And once again, I thought it was very well done. They got good actors to portray them as adults, and of course, Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise again, and does an amazing job. And they did. I think they did a lot better job in these remakes following the book, I think, than they did in the original. There's definitely some things in here that weren't in the original. And it's just, yeah, it's just all well done. So I'm sure most of you have seen it in It Chapter 2. But if you've never seen the original, check it out. It's definitely worth it. See where Pennywise the Clown all started and what started that world hysteria about killer clowns. You know, when these came out, people started dressing up like clowns and scaring everybody. So, but yeah, give it a watch, and we'll move on to number 4. Number 4, Dawn of the Dead. Again, we have a George A. Romero film. The original Dawn of the Dead is just a classic, amazing zombie film. The remake, I can't say is better, but they're done differently. Like the original one, you know, the zombies are slow, the movie is more paced. It only focuses on the original one only focuses on it focuses on less characters than the remake does. And then the remake, you have the zombies that are literally sprinting after people trying to eat them. You have a few more main characters than you did in the original film, but it was super solid, very well done, very good remake, I would say. And you know, like I said, I can't say it's necessarily better than the original film, but it sure gave it a run for its money. You know what I mean? They did a good job with it, with these characters and these actors, and how everything unfolds for these people. So. Yeah, and we'll move on to number 3. Number 3, I Am Legend, starring Will Smith. Now, this is actually a remake of 2 movies, technically. You have the original one, which is The Last Man on Earth in 1964, and then The Omega Man in 1971. The original one starring Vincent Price, the Omega Man starring Charlton Heston. Now, again, this is one of the ones I would say that the remake is better than the original films. The remake follows the book a lot closer than the other 2 films do. And, you know, it's not everybody that could pull off a role where you're basically the only character in the film for like 90% of the film, which is, I mean, this is how I Am Legend is. And the same way with The Last Man on Earth and The Omega Man, but I honestly believe that Will Smith pulls it off. I thought it was a great film, good action, good suspense, crazy vampire-esque creatures, you know, and it's just, they did a really good job with it. I think they picked a right pick with Will Smith playing Robert Neville, trying to rescue humanity and trying to, you know, save himself. And basically, you can see he's a tortured soul because he's trying to make the death of his family worth it. And of course, we all know that that's impossible, but he refuses to give up. So, move on to number 2. Number 2, we have Halloween. Now, there's a lot of people that were upset when Rob Zombie remade Halloween, but I think it was absolutely amazingly done. I love Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, I will say, I don't think it's better than the original. The original is just a masterpiece that has withstood the test of time. You know, being released in 1978, the film is still not only being praised, but the original film has already spawned its new set of own sequels that ignore the rest of the franchise, which we will talk about them at some point, I'm sure. But, you know, Rob Zombie's film, I thought it was just absolutely amazing. You have this massive human being playing Michael Myers. You got Malcolm McDowell playing Dr. Loomis, who is just one of my favorite actors of all time. And then you got things like, and the one thing that Rob Zombie did that I thought was absolutely amazing was it showed Michael's descent into becoming this evil, unstoppable, murdering serial killer monster, whatever you want to call him. And a lot of people hated that. A lot of people panned it as, you know, oh, they're humanizing him, which is terrible. Well, no, it's not, because the thing that the original touches on but doesn't show you is that Michael was quite literally a normal, I believe he was either 7 or 10. I can't remember. It's been It's been a little while since I've seen the original, but I believe he was 7 or 10, and a lot of people forget that they like I said, they touch on it, that he was just a normal boy. He was literally 100% normal, happy-go-lucky, playing with his friends, blah blah blah, all that stuff. And then literally the next day, he just decided to murder people. Like, that's literally what happened. He killed his sister, and yeah, they locked him up forever. And then here in the original, they show him gradually building up to, they show him beating that bully with the stick, and then he finally has enough, and he kills his stepdad, and he kills his older sister, and I think he kills her boyfriend. It's been a while since I've seen Rob Zombie's film, but I think that's what happens. And it shows him in the mental hospital gradually more and more withdrawing and not making progress, and then we see him for what he is, this unstoppable force. So I think it was very well done. I hope all of you have seen it, because it deserves. And Rob Zombie, I really think, did a great job with it. It's not as good as The Devil's Rejects or anything, but pretty amazing film. And my number one horror remake of all time is John Carpenter's The Thing. Of course it is, right? It's my favorite horror movie, and it turns out it happens to be a remake. The original was called The Thing from Another World, that was loosely based on a short story. And then, like, in the original, the creature was like part carrot, and he had like a cellular structure similar to a carrot and all this other crap that was kind of stupid. But then here comes John Carpenter with this amazing remake, updated special effects, amazing cast starring Kurt Russell, Wilford Brimley, Keith Davids, and it's just they're scary ass creatures that just transformed into these grotesque monstrosities from another world, and it's just, the film's absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen The Thing, you need to see The Thing. It 100% deserves any and all praise that it gets, and I hope they don't try to ever remake this. I hope they don't ever try to remake John Carpenter's The Thing, because I don't think anyone will ever do it justice again. No one will ever do The Thing from Another World justice like John Carpenter did, and no one's ever going to be able to do The Thing justice like John Carpenter did. So let's hope Hollywood doesn't get that big idea in its head. We already had a prequel, which was meh, but yeah, let's keep this remake where it is, and let's not try to do any more. Okay, Hollywood? Well, everybody, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you please like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Are these some of your favorite horror remake films? What is your favorite horror remake film? Were there any that you thought should be on this list that I didn't mention? Because there were some films that I had thought about to put on here, but a couple of them I hadn't seen the original, so I didn't feel right putting them on the list. And so I would love to hear what you guys think. But next time for you, I'm going to give you guys my top 10 thrash metal bands. So to all you nerds out there in YouTube land, I'll see you next time. Same nerd time, same nerd channel. Have a good evening.